All right, here we go. We are ready to get started on our third session, and I will stop sharing my screen here. All right, hello. Okay, are we ready to jump into mindset today? And I am just going to make an adjustment here on my screens. I've got a couple of screens up so that I can see the recording and I can see also my notes for today, and also I can see my clock, so I make sure we don't run over on time. Keep it to 60 minutes or maybe even a little bit less and honor your time. All right, well, welcome back. We are jumping into our third session, and I am so excited to share this last section with you talking about mindset. So get your note-taking device ready. For me, that's a good old-fashioned pen. I learn best that way, and a piece of paper, or whatever tool you choose that works best for your learning style. And let's dig into mindset. All right. So just a reminder that the recording that you are watching is for your personal use, and it is not intended to be shared with a greater group. All right. So we've already said that we are preparing above the pageant, right? We are prepared beyond the crown. Okay, that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. This is not just about winning a crown. This is something more, much more. The competition itself is our vehicle, just our vehicle that gets us from point A to point B in life, right? Not just in competition, but in life, because how much of pageant is really so good. I mean, I'm still drawing on all of the experiences that I gained being a title holder, being a contestant, even today. Knowing that the experience that you're going through is going to be the crucible that titrates the potential we bring and will then launch it to new levels. So first, let's be on the same page that being Miss Title Holder is first and foremost a job for most pageant competitions. You're coming to the end of it and you're going to be applying for a job, right? And secondly, it's an honor. Oh, it's an honor to represent the organization as the face of the that title for that year. Now, some understand it to be the inverse, right? And as a result, they'll get over focused on winning the crown rather than preparing to do the job. And that's really what our preparation needs to be all about. We're not so focused on winning that we forget that we're actually preparing to do the job of Miss Title Holder for the year. So let me just share something briefly about what it's like to go to national competition. So when I was at Miss America, I would say there might have been 8 women who were there who just weren't prepared. They either didn't know how they wanted to prepare, or they didn't have good preparation support, maybe from their board, or they didn't have time. They were invested in other things going on in their life at that point, and they just maybe weren't prepared, or maybe they were lacking in some maturity or some life experience, and they just weren't quite ready to take on the responsibilities of being a national title holder, just not quite at that level. Maybe 8. All right. Maybe there were 10 more who didn't want the job. I mean, some states, it's so awesome being Miss State, Texas, that you don't need to be Miss America. I mean, why would you want to? You can stay in your own home state and have an amazing and an incredible year. Or maybe you're really invested in some aspect of something that you're doing in your state. And so just the interest in being a national title holder isn't there. Or maybe you don't want to be doing all of that traveling, or there's a number of reasons that perhaps you wouldn't want the job. Okay. And that's fair. That's fair because the experience itself is worth so much. You don't actually need the title to win for whatever winning looks like or success looks like for you in the competitive environment at the end of the experience. Right? Okay, and we're going to talk some more about that today as well. So I'm just saying that when you get to higher levels of competition, wow, you have to be ready to do the job, because I'm here to tell you, when I walked into the Miss America competition, as I looked around, any of us could have done the job of Miss America. Now, the judges selected one, but how? Wow, what a huge job when you have many women ready, capable, competent, eager to step into that role for a year of service. So we prepare first for the job. And man, when you get up there with some of those women, you look around and you just go, oh, she could be Miss America. Oh, she could be Miss America. Oh, I'm Miss America. Just ask me. I prepared to do the job of Miss America. I can be her any day I choose to be because I prepared to do the job first and foremost. That's what it's about. It's not just about winning that sparkly hat. Right? Okay. So the judges will select one, but that doesn't mean that the rest couldn't do the job. And so if we don't prepare for the job first and foremost, then we miss out on getting the true squeeze out of the pageant experience. And what we do in the job, well, we speak, right? That's what Miss Title Holder spends the majority of her time doing, speaking. And again, why we started with communication skills during our first session and not a nutritional plan or a talent review, right? Miss Title Holder speaks. So let me illustrate this by sharing some feedback that I received from a former title holder who competed over a decade ago, but she still holds it against her program leadership for putting pressure on her to spend so much time in the gym trying to achieve a particular look that she negated her service work and thereby limited her speaking engagements. Because where is the majority of our speaking opportunities come from? Well, they come from our service, right? So yes, fitness is important, but if we are only focused on preparing to win the crown by getting the highest score in one aspect of competition, are we truly prepared for the job? If we miss out on preparing to do the job, well, we've already said that fitness won't win you the title. It could lose it for you, but it won't win it. Your understanding of the job and your ability to do it by having clearly defined goals and understanding what you will take from it, combined with the excellent communication skills, cause your leadership to expand exponentially. And that's why we say we are prepared above the crown, beyond this competition. And when we are above it, then we can see what I refer to as the big picture. All right, now we've spent 2 other sessions together discussing the tangible aspects of preparation and how they manifest. But when your mindset aligns with these other facets of preparation, now the subconscious mind can see and believe that your goal of being Miss Title Holder is in reach. The subconscious mind is now bought in. You've stopped dreaming. And now you've honed in on a precise goal. You're motivated for the long-term success, not short-term motivation, okay? Short-term motivation is the pep talks and the, oh, you're so amazing comments that don't stick because you can't fool your subconscious into believing something you're not truly prepared to accomplish. But you're doing the work, you're doing the prep, and now the big picture is starting to gel, right? All right, we know that your mindset is on point because now you can see yourself as Miss Title Holder. When is your mindset on point? When you can truly see yourself as Miss Title Holder. This isn't just a wish and a hope anymore. All right, this has manifested itself in a way that you can really sense it, feel it, taste it. You're almost there. You've turned the image of her into the image of you. Again, bringing your unique flavor and flair into all aspects of preparation and now into the competition. You have incredible interpersonal skills. That's that ability to make someone feel like they are the only and most important person in the room, whether they're a child or a politician. And this comes from how you've trained yourself to be transparent and others focused. But you're comfortable in your own skin. You have that relaxed presence with you in everything that you do. You like yourself externally and you carry yourself like Miss Title Holder, naturally warm and engaging. Further, you can see yourself in the job because you've defined your vision, your mission, your purpose. Again, this is going to be based predominantly on and coalesce around your philanthropic work, your service to others, your legacy. based on what you uniquely will bring to the job this year. And again, Vanessa Munson, Miss Washington 2023, is a great example of this with her distribution of the hearing aid wearing Barbies. She is leaving her mark, and so will you, because you will be proactive, not just a ceremonial figurehead. We're not standing by waiting for the organization to tell you what you're supposed to go out to do. No, we've come into this thing already with a plan of how we are going to take our message, our uniqueness, what we can bring to the title for the year. We know exactly what we want to do. We have a good idea of how we're going to accomplish it. And now we're simply turning to the organization and asking permission. Hey, can we link up? Can we join forces? I'm ready to do this job. How can you support me? And what do you expect me to do for you? You've looked at what you can give and you've considered what you will take. And now you are a true spokeswoman. You are going into this thing focused on being Miss Title Holder and accomplishing things unique to you over the course of this year. Unique to you over the course of this year. Now, you can see yourself doing the job because of your excellent extemporaneous speaking skills. This is something that you're working on off camera. Just hearing me talk about it will not be enough. You need to work on getting speaking engagements and practicing those extemporaneous speaking skills. No note cards or memorization required, because then you sound rehearsed, robotic, boring, flat, dull, not interested, not going to participate with you in your philanthropic work, because I am not finding this to be engaging. So we expect you to do your part in terms of spending considerable time in your preparation due to the effort that you are investing in disciplining yourself to be emotionally driven by the subconscious mind, so that we are always ready and eager to speak on any topic naturally, based on your unique knowledge and your experiences, especially as it relates to your volunteerism and your service initiative. Now, as Miss Title Holder, you will have ample opportunity to speak. So we train for this, both by going out and doing it, and by preparing our conscious and subconscious mind in such a way that it matches our learning style. So that could be journaling things out, reviewing information and data, engaging in conversations with people who challenge us to think differently, keeping up on our reading, building vocabulary, listening to news reports or podcasts that offer a different viewpoint from the one that you're most familiar with. But of course, we also know that well-read women are more interesting. They have more to say because they've expanded their unique knowledge and experience through reading or listening, as well as listening and watching high value material. Okay, we're not becoming Miss Title Holder by sitting on the couch and channel surfing. We're watching and listening to high value material. This is a window of time in your life. You can channel surf when you have other time in your life. But right now, we're preparing for a super important job and super important life opportunities. So we are engaging in consuming high value material that further informs us. And the natural result of employing the skills that we learned on night one for applying that visualization process will be that we have mastered extemporaneous speaking. All right. Now, moreover, you've placed your focus on preparing beyond the pageant. Now, this is about the third time that I've said that. So what does that mean, right? Your mindset has embraced this opportunity, and now you're looking at it like a business woman. This is not just about a crown and a sash. This is a business opportunity, a career opportunity. You're feeling the competitive drive, but you're above it, because you've internalized that big picture. You know you're intelligent, you're perceptive, you're sharp, you're capable, but this only magnifies your natural warmth. We never become arrogant or haughty. You are embracing everyone and everything that comes along with this pageant journey, and you are capable of leveled up graciousness because of how ready you are for the job. With the mindset of a businesswoman, you're well aware of the opportunities, the wardrobe, the car sponsor, the networking opportunities, the dating opportunities, the scholarship money, prizes, sponsorships. These will all serve you by opening doors, especially at the national level. And in many cases, to access these opportunities, you don't even have to win the title. The exposure you get as a contestant, in many cases, will provide you access. But you will only see them if you've got your head screwed on to think like a shrewd businesswoman at all times. Never missing an opportunity to network, to make introductions, to ask for that speaking opportunity, to ask for another appearance, to cultivate relationship, to extend gratitude to sponsors. Thank you so much for sponsoring us. So grateful. And so on. When you're out at the farmer's market, or you're visiting the Capitol, or you're being introduced to someone for the first time, this is where we are thinking like a businesswoman in moments that there is no crown in sight. There is no pageant title competition happening in that moment, but you are preparing yourself because the pageant was the vehicle to get you right where you are so you could have this opportunity to talk to that person and make that connection, and it's going to launch you in the future. Don't miss it. Now, as we drop inside the competitive environment, you are thriving. You're extraordinary, and people are noticing. Your leadership is undeniable, and you have a single-mindedness of purpose. You can see yourself in the job. You can feel it. And that's different than seeing yourself winning the crown. Are you with me? Do you see how that's different? No, I'll tell you, when I stood on stage at Miss Washington the second time, and I was one of the remaining two, here we are standing up there, 1 and 2. It's one of us, all right? I knew I could do the job. I had prepared for it. I was ready. I'd been communicating that non-verbally all week. But the gal who remained out there with me had finished ahead of me in 2 other competitions. She beat me out both times. Despite the fact that I was ready, I didn't think I'd win. Now, I could see myself in the job, but as we stood together and waited for the winner to be named, I was already congratulating her because past history was she'd won. She always did. I was already calculating my next move. Like a businesswoman, I was ready to take that first runner-up position and then do the next right thing with that opportunity. As I congratulated her and we stood together rocking back and forth, wow, stunner. They call me. I couldn't have been more shocked, truly, which is why my mouth is hanging open, literally, in many of the photos of that moment. I mean, shock is an understatement. And so I was prepared either way, because the more you lose, the more you win. The more opportunities you have to dig deep and really get to know yourself, to look at what you brought to the competition this time and what you could hone or improve or make better for the next time. There are just more opportunities that cascade as a result of getting to come back and do it again if you so choose. Now, when you have the big picture fully in view, you're elevated above the competition in your mindset, and you're still having a blast because, wow, hey, pageant should be fun, right? If you're more, and when we're having fun, then we're more likely to avoid making the mistakes, right? And if you start to, because of your preparation and because of your mindset, you can recognize, oh, here I go, I'm starting down that path, and you rectify it immediately by shifting your focus off of yourself and back onto those around you and reclaiming the big picture. Now, you're really immune to the negatives because at this point you're above them. You're emotionally prepared for anything because you're allowing your subconscious to lead, and you've taken on an air of quiet confidence that is not arrogant in any way, but you truly expect to win. I knew I had prepared myself to win. And of course, I wouldn't have said that to anyone except for my closest circle of supporters, and neither should you. But that's where the mindset is at. I expect to win this thing. Now, getting called out with my particular first runner-up, in that moment, I thought, well, maybe not this time, and that's okay. But we still work do our preparation, and stay in that competitive mindset throughout the competition up until the very moment, anticipating that we are ready to do the job, and it would only be natural that the judges would select us. Now, I'll tell you, I watched Maddie Lauder do exactly this during the Miss Washington volunteer pageant last month. She was undeniable. Her mindset was rock solid. There was nothing that would have steered her off course. Her mind was set and the consistencies were there. A smoothness in her presence, consistency in each phase of competition, and a natural energy and excitement that just exuded from her in swimsuit competition, during her talent presentation, evening gown. It was all over her, undeniable. And for those of you involved in the Miss Washington pageant family, you may have heard a term, flexible and gracious. Well, this particular term was coined by Charlie Van Tramp back in the early 2000s when she took over the directorship of the Miss Washington Scholarship Organization. And really, this phrase is a great reminder and really sets the tone for some women who may not have heard it before. But really, if your mindset has been cultivated during preparation, your temperament will unsurprisingly demonstrate these characteristics because you are emotionally steady and therefore in control of yourself and in command of your environment. You are unflappable, gracious, naturally, and flexible because things will come up that we have no control over, and we roll with them because we prepared ourselves to respond in just such a way. Now, I'm not saying that positioning this mindset will remove all of our insecurities. It won't. We all have them, right? However, it positions us to be able to not take ourselves too seriously or the things that come up around us. But perfection is not what we are looking for here. Well, you may be surprised to hear me say that. Perfection is not what we're looking for here. Nope. That will cause us to become guarded immediately because why? We're putting pressure on ourselves. One of those mistakes. Instead, we prepare with all seriousness and intentionality. And we are still talking to ourselves gently and holding those insecurities loosely, acknowledging that they're there, but giving room to be completely transparent about them as we find strength in sharing of ourselves to serve others. Transparently communicating to those around you, I'm not perfect, but because of who I am, I'll be one stellar title holder. And this is where you are completely real and natural and uniquely unlike any other woman participating. Yeah? All right, I'm going to do a quick time check here. Let's see where we are. Okay, great. All right. And I have some things that I want to make sure I get a chance to share with you, and I'm actually ahead of schedule. So awesome. All right, I wasn't 100% sure that we'd have time to get to this, and I needed the flexibility in the presentation, but I do have time. So I'm going to slow down a smidge, make sure that you're able to capture notes as we go. And also, if you feel like you've missed something, we can you can always go back and recapture that. And you can always ask questions directly of me if you would like to via email or social media. It's my joy to be a resource to you, so feel free to reach out. Now, I really feel like what we're going to jump into now is next level stuff. And I'm excited that I get to present it to you. This is typically reserved for work I do one-on-one, and also reserved typically for more experienced or more mature contestants. But it's also the stuff you really want to know. All right, so we're going to get into it now, okay? So we are going to talk about aberrations in the process, which this is a term that Don Baker coined. Funny things happen inside of competition and inside the interview room, all right? We need to just be aware of what they are before we get into competition so that when they crop up, we don't fall victim to fear anxiety, right? Fear anxiety is a nasty little guy that will sometimes rear his head during competition. And fear anxiety pops up when some abnormality arises that we aren't prepared to deal with. So that's why we're going to talk about some of these things now so that you will feel a sense of being prepared. Now, it may last for just a second or two, but that fear anxiety produces a feeling of complete paralysis. When something occurs that is so out of left field that we are sort of left in a stupor, like, what? Did that really just happen? And so obviously a quick recovery is best, and it is available to us with the right preparation. Okay, so if you've been listening on autopilot, come back to me now because this is really important stuff I'm about to share with you. All right, now some abnormalities are circumstantial and some are made by judges, specifically in the interview room. Now, judges do make mistakes, okay? And it's important to handle them with proper awareness and understanding and preparations so you can handle it effortlessly. And again, this kind of mental preparation is not available for the contestant who does not fully understand her leadership and is already able to see herself in the job. Let me say that again. This kind of mental preparation, when we are preparing to handle aberrations in the process and eradicate fear anxiety, this is not available to a young woman who does not fully understand her leadership and is already able to see herself in the job of Miss Title Holder. I can't talk about this during session 1 on communication because we need both communication and the session on presence for you to begin to see yourself and your preparation differently so that you feel empowered and equipped, confident, not terrified or anxious or nervous inside of the competitive environment. Let me just say, the judges, when you step into competition, they're not the experts here. That may come as a surprise to you. That may come as a surprise to a lot of people to hear me say that. But the judges aren't the experts, you are. In fact, a couple of the judges may have never even done this before. They've never judged a pageant. You are an expert on you. And you are an expert on why you're ready to do this job. So if a judge makes a mistake during the competitive process, especially inside the interview room, we handle it with graceful leadership, just like Miss America would at a press interview. You are responsible to guide the interview. And I'm just going to say this is next level maturity and preparation, which also means that you're able to identify aberrations in the process when they arise and then quickly deal with them. So we're going to look at some of them now. You may recognize them if you've been through competition before. And because we are now preparing for them, we thereby avoid fear, anxiety, and we retain our competitive mindset. All right. So let's talk about how we would handle these situations. All right. First, you've got to be aware of them and thus able to instantaneously recognize them. Oh, we talked about it. Brianne talked about this. Okay. Yeah, I reckon this one. Okay. Because I already know what this is. I don't feel fear or anxiety about this. I know what to do. We can recover and get right back to where we were with being transparent and others focused. All right. We're not going to allow fear or anxiety to crop up in these moments. We've recognized it. You must be able to intellectually understand how we handle these. Now, that comes from the conscious mind. Again, we're learning a new skill. We need that conscious mind involved, and we want to prepare with an awareness, right? That conscious mind comes in, helps us with understanding concepts, and then the subconscious mind comes in there so that we can jump right back on our feet and continue to be emotionally driven, but without an emotional outburst, right? Okay, so this must be visualized. The situation, and we're going to look at some situations, right, that could crop up, and then you handling them. So in your mind's eye, do you lay in bed at night or as you daydream during the day, you've got a few free minutes, you close your eyes and you sit there and you dwell upon this situation arising inside of the interview room or in the competitive environment. All right. And then you visualize yourself handling it flawlessly, to the point that your subconscious mind has absorbed these situations and how you would handle it, how you would respond, and thus you're able to react to them instantaneously if they occur. All right. So the first that we're going to look at is The interrogative question, which means a question that is not opinion-based, which is what it should be. All right. So judges' orientation should prepare your judges not to ask interrogative questions. Okay. But sometimes they still slip through. And sometimes you have a volunteer who's serving as the judge's chairperson who may not even be aware of this particular approach. And so they don't advise the judges on it. But this is when the judge starts asking something that only has one right answer, such as, how many electoral votes does the state of Washington have? I have no idea. I don't have a mental picture at that point, right? But my abstract picture is of the electoral college, right? The popular vote versus the electoral college. I also can see voter disenfranchisement, voter disinterest, questioning voting regulations, right? So I can still react and respond to this question, even if I don't know the answer, right? And so I'm going to say either yes or no, or I have no idea, which is absolutely fine to say because I don't know. So we're not going to fake it. I'm certainly not going to hang my head about not knowing because that's not within my sphere of knowledge in this moment. But I do know some other things about the voting process. And so that's where we're going to go. That's what came up in my visualization. It was abstract, but it's still there. And it's something that is within my sphere of knowledge, understanding, and personal experience. So, I have no idea how many electoral votes we have in Washington, which I think really points to the bigger issue. And so then I would come in with my thought organization. Today, aren't we really capable of selecting a president by popular vote? I mean, I can see the purpose of the Electoral College in the past, but I really think that the nation is ready to choose its leader without the Electoral College. And so even though I don't know the answer, right, to this interrogative question, I've still answered it. And I didn't have a clue, right? But I've demonstrated intelligence and leadership. And I'm directing the interview. Okay, you can still respond to a question even if you don't know the answer without having to say, I don't know the answer to this. There's other ways to handle it. And I still got an abstract visualization, an abstract mental picture. I still had emotions about it, right, as a voter. And so I can still speak to it, even if I don't know the specific fact. All right. So remember that interview is not supposed to be a question and answer session. It's a conversation. But judges mess that up sometimes. So it's your job not to freeze, but to retain your authority and dominance by continuing to roll with the conversation, reacting quickly and authoritatively, using your abstract mental picture. All right. Even if you have no idea, chances are you have an abstract, some familiarity with that topic, and that means you can still react conversationally. In that way, you retain control of the interview, and the judges continue to move on conversationally to another topic, noting that you're aware of the world around you, but you just don't have that sphere of knowledge or experience to be able to know that specific fact or detail. All right. Okay, moving on. Next one. The judge is beneath you. Your graduate level, their first grade. All right. This is a mistake often made by what we refer to as a brain dead judge who walked in with a predetermined list of possible questions to ask any contestant or potentially every contestant, and they aren't reacting off of you or the paperwork that you've prepared to indicate to them what it is you'd like to talk about, right? And so I'll just share an example of this with you. When I was at Miss USA, I had just finished sharing with the judges panel about my interest in political service and potentially holding office one day. And in particular, had my eyes at that point in time on some really sort of senior leadership political types of roles. Very interested in political science and wanted to pursue that. And so I had finished sharing this with the judges panel. And one of the judges looks at me and says, "So, do you have any pets?" Come again? I didn't really say that. But no, immediately I went to, all right, let's go with this. Okay. I want to, yeah. Do I have any pets? I mean, like, is this kindergarten? Like, are we talking about, does our dog say woof? Like, anyway, so Initially, I felt a little like, wow, this is a really lame question. But because of leadership and preparedness and dominance, and we're rolling with it. Now, naturally, this question does raise an interesting topic in actuality, and I was really able to have some fun with it. So I actually am terribly allergic to anything with fur, so I went ahead and let them know that. And so the only pets that I've ever really owned have been fish, and I'm really not a very good fish parent, as it turns out, because all of my fish have met their demise. And so I think I've had about 4 fish total in my life. And one of them ended up freezing in the cup. I left it in the little cup, that the container that you bring it home from the store in my car cup holder. And it stayed in the cup holder overnight, and it was freezing temperatures outside. And so the next morning, when I remembered that the fish was in the car, the it had frozen and the fish was dead. And then another time I had gone away on a trip and thought the fish would be fine, left enough food on the top of the water for the fish for the next few days, and came home, the fish was at the surface, belly up. And then the next time I lost a fish was I was cleaning the fish's bowl, and apparently whatever water temperature I had put in the bowl that I was transferred him to did not agree with the fish. And so here I am scrubbing in the sink, scrubbing out the dirty bowl and getting it all ready for him. And here comes my fish out of the other bowl and down the drain. So not a good fish parent. So no, at this time, I don't have any pets. Now, I would say that answer to that particular question, if I had presented it in the same way I just presented it to you, was probably too long. But for sake of illustration, just wanted to let you know that you can have fun with those kinds of questions when they're beneath you. I mean, you certainly don't need to get frustrated, which kind of can be the initial reaction. And if you do get frustrated, then by definition, you would be putting up your guard as the hair on the back of your neck rises. And you're thinking, oh, are you kidding me? What a terrible question. Instead, react head on and attempt to raise the judge up via the quality that you'll naturally offer in your answer. Yeah. Okay. A panel of judges will follow you, especially the live wire judges, because they're reacting off of you. Why? Because you're so conversational, so emotionally driven, and therefore interesting that they can't help asking you the next question based off of what you last said. And now we've got a synergy going. Your spontaneity triggers their spontaneity and resulting on more follow-up questions, and you're leading them exactly where you want to go, which is discovering all of those incredible things that you are going to bring to the job, plus all the other fun stuff that makes you unique and set apart, that they wouldn't have learned if all they did was ask pre-prepared list of questions, right? That have nothing to do with you uniquely. It's just a bunch of stuff they wrote down. Okay, those are like the panic questions or the brain dead judge questions. But a panel of live wire judges will produce an interview that has great flow and continuity, provided you're doing your job properly at the front of the room. Now, more brain dead judges on the panel can lead to an interview that feels choppy and maybe somewhat disjointed. Regardless, you continue with warmth, magnetism, fully transparent, focused on them, listening with every fiber of your being to each question, each topic they present, right? All right, moving on from that one. This time we're going to talk about the discombobulated judge. This is the judge. It takes them forever to ask a question, and when they're done asking their question, neither of you is quite sure what they just asked. The actual question just isn't clear. And so what do? Right? Likely you've had many mental pictures as you've been trying to track with this judge. Like, what are they asking? That's a picture. Okay, another mental picture, right? And so now your mental pictures are kind of all confused. You may have a general sense of what the topic is that they were aiming for. So just request clarification graciously, because obviously the rest of the panel isn't sure what they asked either. So all we need to say is, I'm sorry, I hear you asking about topic, but could you clarify the question? Yeah. So then they'll ask you again, which judges would love to ask you again because they love to hear themselves talk. And so they'll ask again, and you can go through the visualization process in the moment and simply react. Now, if you're still not clear, we won't ask again, okay, for a couple of reasons. First, it could embarrass the judge, and the interview is going to now start to bog down. We're affecting the pacing and the timing and the synergy of the interview. So with your leadership in full effect, we offer a prefacing remark. I'll be honest, I think I hear you asking about topic. So in general, I feel X about topic and I'm in favor of it, or I'm opposed to it, or, it really gets me upset. And we go ahead and move through just talking, discussing, sharing where we're at on broadly topic. Okay. Then we continue with the content that comes from why you feel the way you do. Okay. And then we're done. All right, next we move into the controversial or uncomfortable question. This produces fear anxiety in most contestants. Now, the controversial question is fair game. This is not a mistake made by a judge, okay? But this is the one that gets us all going, like, oh, what are they gonna ask me? And what if they ask me something I don't know? Well, we've already addressed that. You know everything you need to know within your realm of experience and your sphere of knowledge. You know everything you need to know to walk into this interview and be able to respond. Okay. So this is, again, that sense of, well, what if they ask me something that's controversial or difficult? Okay. A difficult question is what I've heard some women call this. Okay. It has to be handled properly so that we don't allow it to produce fear anxiety. So here we go. First, let's acknowledge together that controversy and uncomfortable are abstract mental pictures. Okay. They're also something that you feel. I feel uncomfortable. So we can roll with that right from the very beginning, regardless of what the topic is. All right. As a result, we know that because this is uncomfortable and controversial, some people may disagree with you, and you may feel uncomfortable with the topic itself, which is a surefire way to compromise your presence. But because of your leadership and maturity, you never compromise your opinions. You never compromise your beliefs, your attitudes, your convictions. They're yours and you stand firm. However, you are not looking to offend someone, nor are you going to compromise. So what do? We use diplomacy. You make a prefacing remark or use a qualifying phrase, and this can be sort of a unifying statement before you share how you feel. Something like, I can really understand that there are multiple facets to this issue, and I may not have all the answers. I really recognize that it's controversial for some. Okay, and then you would lead on with what you feel and why you feel the way you do. In this instance, you're not answering the question up front head on. You're prefacing your answer, but you're still reacting immediately. Okay. There is some uncomfortability. We are not seeking to offend or alienate or disregard any particular demographic in our response or be dismissive in any way. So we preface our response. The judges receive your response, pleased that you've shared your position with diplomacy, and now they will move on to another topic. Unless they are an aberration. And this one's called the antagonistic judge. You've reacted to the question, and now they are just being mean. They're pushing on you. Or is this really a ploy? Okay, this judge, their eyes will be more piercing. Their voice pattern will be more firm and deliberate, and they may challenge your responses with follow-up questions asked in a different way. So this is usually testing to see, is she firm in her convictions or will she waver? And in this instance, you continue to go head on, never vacillating with right to the point thought organization. You are not aggressive, but you are gracefully firm and unwavering. Now, truth be told, this judge really likes you and is testing you to see if you will demonstrate your leadership. This judge expects that Miss Title Holder is a woman who will have such integrity and such conviction that she will be unshakable. This kind of pressure on you will tend to raise that fear anxiety if we have not visualized our way through handling it confidently. When you lay your head down on your pillow at night, you better be thinking about this judge and what you're going to do when that difficult topic, that controversial question that makes you feel uncomfortable, that you know has controversy around it. You need to be lying in that bed thinking about, how will I handle that? What will it look like? How will I preface my remarks so that you acknowledge it before you ever get in the room? And then when it happens, you know how to deal with it. Fear anxiety will cause you to put up your guard immediately. Oh no, I got that question. Oh shoot, what am I going to do now? And you start thinking. Your guard is up. You are no longer focused on the judges. Your presence has been absolutely compromised. And I will just say, now that you know why a judge is going to press on you, it's not because they're mean. Now, granted, there can be, on occasion, a mean judge who will end up on a panel, but we're not addressing that here in this instance. We would do that in a different conversation. But typically, if a judge presses on you, know that you can handle it with leadership and firmness while remaining gracious. And it should tickle you to know that they're really pressing on you because they like you and they just want to see if you'll be firm. Yeah. All right. Now we've discussed these apparitions so that you can prepare for them through visualization. So your subconscious mind can lock in and recognize them as they are happening. Now, again, this is mental training in advance of the competition. You have to do this, work it through before you step inside the interview room. Once you're inside the competitive environment, these aberrations will sink all your hard work. If you exclude them from your mental preparation, they will sink you. We don't want you frozen in the interview room because you were blindsided. And that's why we talk about them here and work on them more intentionally during one-on-ones. All right. So as an off-camera assignment, perhaps think of a time when you encountered one of these aberrations inside the interview room, or even in life if you haven't competed yet. And if that happened, what happened in that moment? Did you freeze? Did you experience that paralysis, that, oh my gosh, what? What do I do now? And so based on what we just talked about, how do you think you might handle it differently in the future after what we've learned here during this discussion? All right. So at this point, I'm going to wrap it up. I want you to know again that this link that has been provided for you to enjoy learning this content and viewing here is for you independently and not intended to be shared. So I appreciate you keeping that in mind. And I'd also like to just look quickly at some of the things that we haven't had the opportunity to cover. So one would be inner circle management. How do we manage those who are closest to us, our supporters, especially our really close supporters, the ones that we've been relying on through preparation, and now they've come into the competitive environment shoulder to shoulder alongside, surrounding us, offering their encouragement and support. Sometimes we have to have a management strategy for how to handle those folks because they can cause some things to go sideways or start putting pressure on us, right? Another thing we haven't talked about is the opening statement. We haven't talked about how to master the visualization process and digging deeper into that guy to talk about like what happens when you don't get a mental picture at all, when you get nothing. Hey, we just didn't have time in 3 hours of workshop content to be able to dig into those kinds of things. So I just wanted to bring that up, not to go, oh, you've missed out on more, but just to let you know that there is more. There's always more that we can do in our preparation process. And so as we think about that, let's talk for a minute about next steps. All right. Now, I appreciate your time and your attention over the course of 3 hours of pageant workshop content. I've had a wonderful time sharing all this information with you. It's been delightful. And I thank you for including me on your journey. I know you're more than capable of applying all of these tips and strategies on your own, and I'm sure you've taken copious amounts of notes, but I would really hate to miss out on being a part of your journey. So I wanted to talk for a minute about next steps so we can look at some ways to stay connected. Okay, so first I'd like to invite you to head over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel at Brianne Perriott Gray. That's Perriott like Marriott, but with a P, and Gray with an E, Grey. All right, and that's where I'll be posting live video. I'm also intending to do interviews with other empowered women. Got one scheduled for December, along with information and resources that are important to you in your preparation. The great thing about YouTube versus an Instagram or a Facebook Live, where you'll also find me, is you can fast forward me. You don't know how long I'll go on for. So, and I'm also going to hopefully be conducting an interview in January from Orlando at the Miss America competition. All right, so subscribe to YouTube, okay? If you would like to receive my monthly e-newsletter, I promise you'll only get one email a month because I know everybody's inbox has way too much junk in it. So send me an email confirmation with the subject, e-newsletter, sign me up. And then I will sign you up for my newsletter, and you'll get a monthly email from me with curated content specific to pageant preparation and your personal growth and development. I will also notify you of future opportunities, events that I'm coordinating, workshops that are coming up via that newsletter, like the one I'm planning for this spring, a new workshop this spring. All right. I would encourage you to go back and review the content from this workshop. It will be available for you to review as many times as you like up and through the end of the month of January. And then I will be taking it down because I'll be working on prepping the next one and improving upon this one based on your feedback. So I'd love to hear from you about what you thought of the 3 sessions. And if you wanted to offer me one tip on something you'd like different, or that you'd like expanded on, I'd love to hear it if you want to shoot me an email. Now, here's the fun thing I'm really excited about for the new year. I'd like to invite you to participate in my personal growth and development challenge happening in January. Starting on January 2nd, I would like to be your personal pageant prep trainer for 1 month to see how quickly we can implement everything we've learned over the past few sessions. We've looked at the overarching application of communication, presence, and mindset, but the challenge will give me the opportunity to walk you through real life application for these strategies on a daily basis. Right? Oh, how fun. I'm so excited about this. Okay, so via a private Facebook group, I will present a series of weekly challenges with the focus on a particular phase of competition each week. So I'm calling myself a trainer, but I'm training for all aspects of competition, all phases of competition, each week a different phase of competition. These challenges will be designed to stretch and hone your skills for personal development. I will be hopping on a Facebook Live once a week to offer tips and some live coaching. And of course, you can view the lives at your convenience if you can't hop on with me, but there will be journal prompts, assessments, selfies required so that I can track your progress like any good trainer. And of course, I will be interacting with you in the community so that we can support each other and offer more resources. Now, again, we'll be practically applying the things that we've been learning through this workshop so that you know what to do with all of your notes. Let's put it into practice together during the month of January. So send me an email or jump onto social media to access the link and let's get you registered. All right, I'm so excited to keep hanging out with you in the new year and just really have some fun putting this all into play. And let me say, also, there will be a winner selected and prizes awarded. So now, it's okay if you're not a challenge or a group joiner type person and this just doesn't really sound exciting to you like it sounds to me, and you just really want some one-on-one attention, we can do one-on-one as well. So I have a few opportunities remaining for new one-on-one clients into January, and I usually recommend 3 to 5 sessions at the rate of $175 per session. If you decide a more personalized approach is right for you and you want to work individually, I would be happy to work with you one-on-one. And we can do that in person or we can do that via Zoom if needed. So just send me an email and let me know, Brianne, hey, I want to get together. I want to be one of your new clients. Let's do some one-on-one work. Happy to do that with you. All right. Thank you again for spending this time with me. I just want to encourage you. You obviously are committed to getting the most out of your pageant experience if you have bothered to sit through 3 hours of content with me, specifically related to pageant preparation and all of the wonderful things that being involved in pageantry can cause outside of the competitive environment in terms of offering you opportunities and life success. Thank you for spending that time with me. And I know that you are going to be awesome the next time you set foot on stage and get to engage in the competitive environment. I do hope that all of these tips have been just exactly what you needed to get your engine revved and excited, get your excitement flowing about getting ready for your next competition. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon as you continue on your pageant journey. It's been my pleasure.